Welcome, everyone. This is a kind of a round table of all of our programs and services. I want to start by thanking all of my coworkers for coming today and sharing just a little bit about the programs and services that we offer here at the ALS Association. My name is Anne Sipley. I'm one of the care services coordinators, and I am going to turn it over to Jenna to talk about the Family Assistance Program.
Thanks, Anne. Hi, everyone. I'm Jenna Van Prosty, volunteer coordinator here, and I work primarily with our Family Assistance Program. And this program sends trained volunteers to people's homes to assist with household tasks. I think a helpful way to think about it is like a chore program. So if you have any kind of household chore, could be outdoors like mowing, planting, weeding, watering plants. It's perfect. We have Denny on because we were emailing earlier about a gardening request that he had. So it's fresh in my mind with that type of thing. Oftentimes people ask about cleaning. So light housekeeping, vacuuming, dusting, just organizing. If you're feeling like things are getting a little cluttered and you'd like someone to come and just help put things away, get them off the table, get them off the floor, wherever you want them to go. We can have people help with that. We have some folks who walk dogs, who run errands. So these days, there's so many places you can order curbside pickup, Target drive up if you want to place your order and have a volunteer come and pick something up. Those are all kind of in the category of things a family assistance volunteer could do. Many of our volunteers have a personal connection to ALS. A lot of them had a friend or a family member or someone they cared about who had ALS. And so many of them are part of the program because they want to give back and because they want to just help another family through it on the journey. It can be challenging. There can be a lot to manage. And so this program just really exists to lighten the load and try to take one or two things, maybe more, off your plate if there's something that you need help with. My motto is just, you can always ask and I'll let you know. It never hurts to put the request out there. We have a great crew of folks. If I don't have someone in my current pool, I can try to find somebody new. So we always just do our best to see what you need and how we can meet that need and kind of go from there. Most volunteers are able to help about once a week at the most. So some people are available less often. Some are more on call or as needed. A lot of the volunteers work or go to school or have families. So sometimes when I'm talking to folks, they'll say, "This sounds amazing. Can someone come every day?" And I usually say, well, once a week is kind of the ballpark of most often. Not to say we can't ask, not to say that we can't tag team it. So sometimes we can cobble things together and have 2 volunteers switch off weeks or have 3 volunteers that each come once a month. So we can get creative and make it work. But I always just like to frame that up front that it's not a daily thing. It's usually more like a weekly thing or every other week. A few kind of parameters. So volunteers don't do any kind of medical or personal care. So volunteers wouldn't help with bathing or toileting or dressing or anything that was kind of a home health, personal care type of thing. They are really there, again, with those errands, chores, yard work. That's kind of the boundary of what they're there to help with. And I know especially during COVID, it can be tricky to open your home to someone you don't know, to someone that's not familiar to you. So I just like to reassure people that I do my best to really find great people and screen them well. So anyone who applies to volunteer is interviewed. We do a background check. We do a reference check. They have an orientation completed. We do ask our volunteers to be fully vaccinated for COVID-19. So if they're coming to your home, we ask them to be vaccinated. You can certainly request that they wear a mask as well inside, or just have them stay outside. If they pick up groceries for you and you want them dropped at the doorstep, whatever you are comfortable with. What else? So that's kind of the family assistance in a nutshell. Like I said, a lot of folks have a personal connection. So I think most people come in with a general understanding of ALS from their own experience. But it's a very flexible program. It's a very fluid program. I think I always say, just let me know what you need and we'll try to figure it out from there.
And I just want to show very quickly the where it is on our website. So
yeah, thank you.
ALS, and then you go to local care services. And right here is family assistance.
Mm-hmm.
Also just email Jenna, but here is the COVID waiver, the volunteer agreement, and then the things that folks can help with.
Yeah, thank you. I was just
contact information
today, and the top waiver, I think the family waiver wasn't working today. So that isn't working for you, feel free to email me, but yeah, that's where you can find it. We do have families sign off and volunteers sign off on those waivers, just making sure everyone's on the same page in terms of the guidelines and boundaries of what to expect. Yeah.
Hey, thank you, Jenna. And
you're welcome.
Anyone with questions can reach out to any one of us and we can send you to Jenna if you don't know how to get a hold of her directly. We are going to move now to the durable medical equipment loan pool. And I see Chris here, Chris Lindner, waiting to talk and take it away, Chris.
Yeah, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Chris Lindner, and I am the Care Services Equipment Lead for the Durable Medical Equipment Loan Pool. And Tiffany Thomas is the Equipment Manager. Today, she has something else that's come up, and she just can't be here right now. So both of us are accessible via phone or email when you have any equipment concerns, questions, requests. We co-manage that program. My focus is more on equipment, the simpler equipment requests and pickups of equipment, along with the donation program and the intake of those pieces of equipment that are crucial to building our inventory. This inventory consists of 6 different loan pools in 3 states. So we're remotely managing some of our work, but much of it is done at Reliable Medical in the Twin Cities area. The process is, it's fairly simple when you think about it, but sometimes there are some hoops to jump through and some follow-up needed by healthcare professionals or by us to accurately select equipment. Let's see. So the clinics, if you are associated with a clinic, which is of course the best way to get quality and timely service, is to have that association with a certified clinic. The therapist that see you will recommend certain pieces, sometimes the neurologist, and then they'll forward those recommendations on to us, where we will then select equipment based on what's available, what's appropriate, and what's going to be safest for you and your caregiver. Sometimes requests can come from the person living with ALS or their family, but that's limited to just a few items. Obviously, the assessment process is the most important part, and that's where our experts come in, those who know the equipment and know you. So we will then select equipment based on their recommendations. That is, I mean, that's it in a nutshell. Anne, could you share that same page and show them where the link is to?
I sure can. You are also, I made you a presenter, so if you want to share your screen.
Oh, I could do that, yes.
You are welcome to. I'm trying to let somebody else get in here, so if you don't mind.
Oh, right, you go ahead. I don't have it up right now, but.
Oh, sorry, here.
No, that's okay. I can talk a little bit more and just explain if you're trying to let someone in. So the page that you saw with the listing of programs and services for care services, right above family assistance is the durable medical equipment loan pool. And that's where you can find information about what we provide, how we provide it. And there's actually a video of the reliable medical loan pool. Tiffany and I out there in action, gives you sort of a visual. There are 2 different lists of equipment on that page. One is for all of the adaptive or smaller equipment, the aids for daily living. And then the other is a link to the large pieces, the shower chairs, power wheelchairs, etc. So it's a pretty comprehensive web page with lots of good information. Our contact information is there as well, so you can access us in that way. Did anyone have specific questions around equipment that I could hopefully help answer?
Let me mute. Sorry, stop recording. Thanks, Chris.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Questions? The best email address is still equipment.
Correct. Yeah. Yeah. It is.
I'll put that in the chat. ALSMN.org. Oops, duh.
Equipment. Oh,
equipment.
It's here. That is perfect. Thank you, Anne.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah,
this is the biggest program that we have, and stuff is going in and out all the time. So thank you, Chris.
Yes, and Tiffany, I think just had problems joining too, which when
she has, I've sent her the link a couple times.
Yeah. It's
so. But anyway,
thank you.
Thank you.
Pleasure.
Moving right along. I saw somebody else join and leave too. Communication. The communication program that we have helps people connect and stay connected and stay communicating with the people they love. And I'm going to turn it over to Kate Nelson, who is ready to talk all things communication. And I, if I have to cut her off, I will. Because she can say a lot more than we have time for.
I'm very passionate about this, guys. So I am Kate Nelson. I am one of the care services managers, but I'm also a speech therapist. So you can't get a speech therapist to stop talking, which is what Anne's going to struggle with here. So I am a speech therapist, but I am here 4 days a week, but I still 1 day a week work as the speech therapist at the University of Minnesota M Health Fairview ALS clinic. So in both of those roles, I focus a lot of my time on augmentative alternative communication. So I know that's a mouthful, but if you think augmentative means to supplement or support communication, and then alternative meaning an alternative form of communication. So augmentative alternative communication, or it often gets shortened to just AAC. As part of our chapter's Herbeck Sing program, we can loan out equipment to augment speech or as an alternative to speech. So augmentative communication could be like a microphone to amplify your voice if it's difficult to be heard in loud environments, or if you fatigue easily during a long conversation. We also have devices to aid in writing. So if someone isn't understanding you, you could just write it down. We can load out more electronic type devices, such as iPads that have apps that can speak a message for you. So you can either save the message ahead of time and speak a whole message at the touch of a button, or you can use the keyboard to type out a message and then have the device speak that message. So iPads can be either augmentative or alternative communication devices. So they could be used either to supplement your speech or instead of your speech. So for example, if you're going to one of those clinic visits, you know there are questions that you want to ask, and you know there are questions that your team's going to ask you. You could save those questions and answers ahead of time in the iPad or the tablet for those messages, which would then conserve all of the energy that you would have to use your speech during those questions. Then if someone asks you a question you weren't expecting, or you think of a new question, you could use your speech for those questions. But then your speech is going to be a little stronger because you've saved or conserved that energy at the beginning. So that would be an example of augmentative communication. Or if you're really tired by the end of a 4-hour clinic visit and your speech is maybe getting harder to understand, you might want to just use that device to do all of the asking and answering. So that would be an alternative communication device. A question I often get is, how am I supposed to use an iPad if my hands are impacted by ALS? We have a lot of equipment to address that. So we could send you a switch or a button that allows you to access a device. There's a system that allows you to use your head movement to control an iPad or a computer. There are special devices that can be controlled by nothing but your eye movement. And we are sometimes able to loan out even those eye gaze devices. But with all of the advances in technology and our lack of tech support, we always recommend going through your speech therapist and insurance to get one of those eye gaze devices so that you have the newest and the best. But if that isn't an option, we may be able to help. So let us know. Lastly, I wanted to talk about voice banking and message banking. So I just spoke about options for AAC that have speech output. Like when you use an iPad app or an eye gaze device, the device will talk, it will speak the message you have saved or the message that you have typed. Most of those apps or programs will use a generic computerized voice like Siri or Alexa's voice to speak that message. The idea of message banking and voice banking is that we can record your voice while you're still able to speak intelligibly, so that it can be your voice that comes out of that iPad or device. So message banking is the process of just recording yourself saying an entire message. So I would record myself saying, "Hello, my name is Kate." And then later, if I start using an iPad or a device to communicate, when I want to introduce myself, the device would just play that recording of me saying, "Hello, my name is Kate," with that exact inflection and prosody and my personality. So that's message banking. But of course, we can't possibly record every single message you are ever going to want to communicate. So we have voice banking. So voice banking is a process of making a synthetic or computerized version of your voice. So it's like a personalized Siri almost, right? So when you use your voice banked voice, it will still sound computerized and maybe a little choppy, but it will be pieces of your voice or your speech spliced together. So it will sound a lot more like you than just one of those generic voices. So if you can't tell, and as Anne already alluded, I love talking about this stuff. I'm pretty passionate about it. I encourage everyone to do voice banking and message banking, both. Even if you have noticed a change in your speech, it doesn't hurt to do it. It's free. I always say, just because you record your voice doesn't mean you have to use those recordings, right? It doesn't take a lot of time. Voice banking is 20 to 30 minutes. Message banking can be as short or as long as you want it, depending on how many messages you want to record. And the biggest selling point, for me anyway, is that the recordings can stay with your family forever. So I find that really important. So that is my main role here at the ALS Association. So I support people living with ALS, their families, their speech therapists with the voice banking, message banking, or any augmentative alternative communication needs that you might have. So any of those questions can come to me.
Thank you.
That was pretty short, Anne. I think I did pretty good.
That was very impressive, actually.
I worked really hard to keep it short. It's not easy.
I also want to share the story about the person who, like, people who have family members do the voice banking for them, like if they've already lost it.
Yeah.
Do you want to share something, one of those stories?
Oh, yeah. So and thank you. I should have said that. So if your own voice is too impaired, then yeah, you can have a family or friend. So then it is still somebody's voice rather than being that generic computery voice. And so that's an option. There is actually an option to donate your voice. So you can go and do the process so that somebody else can use it. And then you can listen through and try to see which of these voices sounds the most like me. And so you can try to find one that you like. It's like shopping for a voice.
And I am just going to quickly share, again, local care services and go to communication.
Mm-hmm.
And on this page is the Herbig Sing program, the different devices, all kinds of stuff, including, and I think this might be the segue to Corey. She's ready.
Perfect segue.
Yes, thank you. I think, Kate, I need to remove your co-host permissions and give them to Corey so she can go ahead and talk about smart home. I don't know if you want to use this.
It's good for a quick visual. Thanks, Anne. So hello, everyone. I am Corey Libby. I'm one of the care services directors here with the ALS Association. And I help support our DME and communication program. But as part of that, I help manage our smart home program, which many of you have heard of Alexa or Google to help out with things around the home. So we have implemented that program quite a few years ago now to help increase independence in the home and safety. So the devices can be pretty user-friendly as far as being able to control things like lights, TVs, other things, other appliances in the home that you would plug in. But we have also been able to use cameras so your loved one can keep an eye on you. We've also been able to install smart locks where if it's hard for you to get to the door, the smart lock, you can use the Alexa or the Google speaker to unlock that door. So as you can see on here, there are a couple of options there. At the top, you'll see a speaker. I always tell people that the speaker is like your hub. So you're going to need at least one of those in the home as well as Wi-Fi because everything runs off of your Wi-Fi or your internet. And that has actually changed a little bit. There are some radio frequency options. It's easiest for us to go off of the Wi-Fi, but if you do not have Wi-Fi, there may be a way for us to work around there. The speakers themselves can be used for, like I said, they're the hub. That's going to be your command center. That's where you're going to give all of your command. But it also can be used for a variety of other things. You can use it as your calendar. You can set reminders. You can set alarms. You can use it for leisure activities, such as like listening to books or music or podcasts. And one of the greatest features about the speaker is that people will use it in their home as an intercom system. So, for example, if you are sitting in your living room or your bedroom a lot of the time, I will always tell people you can have another one either in the basement, family room. A lot of people, their caregivers like to work out in the garage for a period of time. You could put a speaker out in the garage and then use that as an intercom system. So I always just point out to people, like, we have them in our home just for personal use. And if my kids are in their room, I can drop in on their dot. So we name the dot, and then I can drop in on their dot and tell them it's time for dinner rather than yelling up the stairs for 10, 20 minutes, So, and then we're able to have a communication that way. Like they can say, yep, I'm coming or whatnot. So that's just a great way to be able to just let your loved ones know that you need something without having to get up. In addition to that, like I mentioned, we have light bulbs or smart bulbs, and that can be used where you would just tell Alexa or Google to turn the light on or off. And that can be controlled through your voice, and just perfectly, as Kate was mentioning, that sometimes you may need to use alternative or augmentative, I'm like horrible with that word, communication, but that actually works out really well. So you can program some of those phrases in there, like Alexa, turn the living room light on, Alexa, turn the living room light off. So any commands that you would need could be programmed into those devices. And Alexa responds really, really well because of it being kind of a computerized voice. She really can understand that. So, so you can do things like that. I always have a fan going at night. So I always think like, well, what if I couldn't turn that fan on or off? You know, you could use a plug and you could ask Alexa to turn that fan on if you get cold, or you can ask Alexa to turn it on if you get hot. So it's just really a way for you to maintain independence and safety in the home. It's something that is continuously growing. They're coming out with more and more smart products all the time. So it's just something that we're keeping an eye on, but that list that Anne pointed out on our website does have most of the basics that we have. So, and then in addition to that, a lot of people get a little bit nervous with setting that up with all the technology. So we do partner with Best Buy Geek Squad, and we will ask them to come out and set the devices up for you if that is something that will be helpful. Sometimes people are able to do that with their loved ones that are more tech savvy than others, but that is always an option that we will cover for you as well. So does anybody have any questions about the smart home program?
I'm going to pause and Corey can repeat the question if anybody has one.
Yep.
I also want to introduce Val, have her introduce herself, because she is someone you will may have a lot of contact with, because she is the communication equipment guru. What's your title actually, Val?
Hi, everyone. I'm Valerie Bombardier, and my title now is Communication Equipment Manager, and I help get all the equipment out that is requested on your behalf from therapists, clinics, family members, and I get it prepped, cleaned, set up prior to it being shipped out to you, and I do some moderate technical support for some of the lower tech items. If it's something like an eye gaze device from a communication company like Tobii, we let those experts, kind of take the lead on that piece. But questions on iPads or alert systems, lower tech items, I can help you out. So we're here if you have any questions or need anything.
Thank you. Mostly if you email me with questions, I just forward them to Val because I have no idea how to do most of the stuff. I know we have it, but leave it to others to explain the details. Thanks, Val and Corey and Kate.
Thanks for having us.
Our communications program is obviously very robust because that is an important piece of living well with ALS. I am now going to turn it over to Jennifer Myrie.
Good afternoon, everybody. Glad to be with you. And I'm here to talk about the ALS Association's Respite program today. This is a program that is for the primary caregiver of the person with ALS. So the person who lives with the person with ALS and is considered the full-time caregiver. The program is designed to give that person a little bit of a break from their caregiving so that they can sustain it over time. The way that we do that is the ALS Association has partnerships with different home care agencies throughout our entire service area, currently Minnesota, North Dakota, and South Dakota. And we pay the agency directly to provide a home health aide, usually, who can come to the home and be there so that the family caregiver can step away, knowing that their loved one with ALS is safe and has their most basic needs met. So this is a program that this program can offer sometimes, in addition to that, some personal care assistance, but it always sort of depends on what the agency decides at the time that they come out. So sometimes the home health aide who comes out while they're there can help with basic transfers. Sometimes they can help with grooming, and in some cases might even be able to help with a shower or a bath. That all is to be determined at the time that the agency comes out to visit. And it can change over time depending on what may change with the needs of the person with ALS. The program offers up to 18 hours a month of this type of help, this respite. Usually families use the time weekly for 3 or 4 hours at a time. It is true that we're living during a time when the workforce has some real shortages, and that the home care world is not immune to that. And so home care agencies are experiencing some real staffing shortages. And that creates a little bit more of a challenge right now with sometimes finding an agency who can provide the help, and sometimes in providing consistency with the home health aide coming out. So if you're ever interested in exploring this program further, we really want you to do that, and to know some of those things so that you're not surprised with wait times and things like that. I see Anne is unmuted.
I just wanted to ask if you could share a little bit about maybe what some of the folks who use the program do instead.
Yeah, besides the agencies.
Right, like so somebody comes to take care of my loved one, what can I do?
Oh, I see, okay. Yes, I will definitely touch on that. Something else I want to touch on is that we're also expanding this program to allow families, if they have a friend, an acquaintance, a non-family member that they would like to hire to provide the respite, we may be able to reimburse you for that. And so that's another sort of workaround with regard to some of the challenges that I mentioned. So those are all things we can talk about. And there's an application online, and perhaps we can show that, or at least, yeah. It's in that same area that Anna's been referring to throughout the meeting, on our local care services page under Respite. And there's information there. There is an area for frequently asked questions that we really encourage caregivers to look closely at as they consider whether or not this program might be a good fit for them. And if it's decided that it is potentially, then we invite you to scroll down and to apply on our website right there. And it's just a one-page application. Doesn't usually take folks too long. And yeah, what do people do when they use this program? How do they use their respite time? A lot of people do different things. Some people don't even leave the house. They might go in the other room and take a nap, or go out to the garden and do some yard work. Other people kind of target that day and time to schedule things that they think they're going to want to do. So maybe that's medical appointments, maybe that's a hair appointment, maybe that's time with friends. So yeah, those are, there's a lot of ways that caregivers use the time, and we really encourage family caregivers to use the program. Even if you don't feel like you're absolutely at your, end of your rope, you don't need to be to explore this program. We want to try to assist you before that happens, you or your loved ones. So yeah, and I'm here to answer questions about the program. If ever any of you want to do that, you can reach out to me directly. I don't know. The information is on the website. Yeah, so I think that's all I have to say about that, unless there are questions. And it may be that, yeah, the Respite email will come to me, so you can ask questions at that email. Anything else you can think of, Anne?
Not that I can think of. I'm going to pause recording so folks can ask questions. There was a question asked and answered about this service respite program is offered in Minnesota, North Dakota, and South Dakota. So, and we have a few more minutes, so I am going to share. This just occurred to me. This wasn't on the agenda, but I am going to share the meditation that happens. It is on our Facebook page every Wednesday. You can go to the page and listen at 11 o'clock in the morning on Central Time, or you can go back, as I am doing right now, and listening to, where'd it go? Oh my goodness, all of the baseball stuff. So there's a midweek meditation, and you can listen to it anytime that works for you. It's 5 to 10 minutes long, and a lovely way to just sort of regroup in the middle of the day or at the end of the day. We have one more program that Jennifer is going to talk about, and that is our support groups.
Yes.
That are currently meeting on Zoom, but I will let her say more.
Yes, we definitely want to encourage anyone who's interested in gathering to just connect with other people, whether it's people with ALS, other loved ones or family members or caregivers. We have a number of groups that kind of cover the gamut. We have monthly groups for people in North Dakota and central Minnesota. So if you have a loved one, I'm thinking of one of the people present here in particular, would love to have them join us there. We've got South Dakota and southern Minnesota, a group there. We've got a metro area support group. We've got a group in northern Minnesota and some other groups that maybe Anne will want to touch on. But these are all on Zoom for the time being. It's been great to have so many people be able to access a support group in this way. And they're quite successful and well attended. And we talk about ALS. We talk about coping with and living with ALS, tips, ideas, things people have learned along the way, and also just allow space for people to talk about how they're doing, how they're feeling, maybe downloading the last week or two. So there's a lot that we can explore at a support group meeting. We invite people who want to be invited on a monthly basis. So if anyone is interested in any one of these groups, they can reach out to the name associated with the group and let us know that you want to hear about it. And we will make sure to include you when we remind you and send the link to be able to access it. And is there more you want to say? I didn't mention the young adults group. I didn't mention the grief group.
Yeah. There is a group for young adults who have a parent with ALS. They're generally 17 to 24, 25, and college student age, and or just after. And we have a grief group this summer too for those who've lost a loved one to ALS. In any time, there's no parameters to grief, so anyone is welcome who has lost someone. Thank you so much, Jennifer. I think that it can be so helpful to just, like you said, connect with other people. Zoom makes it really easy to pop in, and you'll get the reminder. And if you can come, you can come, and if you can't, that's okay too. So you don't have to come every month. With that, I will say thank you to everyone for sharing information about our programs and services today. If you have any questions, do not hesitate to reach out, and we will figure out who can best answer your question and respond as quickly as we can.